So one of my all-time favorite types of fishing is for massive black drum. And since they should be here any day now, what better time to give you my tips on where to go, what to throw, and what gear to use to catch monster black drum. What's going on, everyone? My name is Brent Shermer, and welcome to my series I like to call Just the Tips, where I like to share my strategies I use to catch different species of fish around here in Tampa Bay. Whether you're brand new to fishing or you've been fishing your entire life, I believe it is beneficial to try and learn from what works for other people to make yourself a more well-rounded fisherman. I just want to say, if you guys have any tips that you'd like to give yourself on this topic or any questions, please leave a comment down below and we'll all try and work together to become better fishermen. So I'm very excited about this episode because black drum fishing is one of my favorite types of fishing. I've been waiting all year for these fish to come back. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break this into the normal three categories where I'll be talking about where you should be targeting these fish, what bait you should be using to catch them, and what gear you need to use to get them in. So starting off with where you should be fishing, first off we need to know what time of year you should be fishing for these fish. From my experience, I've only found that these big schools of like massive black drum are only here for about 3 months, starting from like May to like late July. So I have no idea where these fish go during the year besides May through July, but during that time, where you want to be is any bridge piling that you can find in Tampa Bay. It seems like they like to hug around these pilings and just kind of, I think it's for the food. They're looking for crustaceans and crabs mostly. What I like to fish is anywhere from like 4 feet to like 10 feet of water under these bridge pilings. And what you do is you could either go in a boat and just kind of anchor up next to it, or even a kayak and anchor up next to these pilings and literally throw bait up right next to the concrete. You got to get as close as you can. Or what I like to do is I like to kayak over to these pilings and then climb up onto them and pull my kayak up and fish from the pilings themselves. It just gives me a little more stability since I don't have a boat that I can bring over there, and it's a lot of fun too. And like I said, I'm pretty sure you could go to any bridge piling that has enough water under it in Tampa Bay and they will probably find some of these massive black drum if you go within that time span. Also, if you know where these black drum go throughout the rest of the year, please comment down below because I love these fish, and if I can find where I can catch these all year long, it would make me so happy. So as far as bait, it's pretty simple. There's one main bait that everyone uses, and that's blue crabs. You can either set your own traps and catch them that way, or there's a couple local bait shops that sell blue crabs. So what you want to do is you want to get some of these blue crabs, and what you actually do is you take a knife and you cut them in half. So you have 2 baits for every crab that you use, and it also gets a lot of scent in the water when you cut them in half. So what you do is you cut them in half, and then you take your hook and you just kind of wiggle a hole through the shell, and it will stay on there very well. Once you have your bait on, all you do is just drop it right next to these pilings or right in between these pilings, right where these black drum are sitting, and if they're there, it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes for you to get bit. So the rig that you want to use to catch these black drum is some pretty heavy duty stuff. You want to use at least 40-pound leader, and I like to use a long section of it, probably close to like 3.5 feet of it, because there's a lot of abrasion that happens when you're fishing next to those pilings, so you need a lot of that protection from the fish. And what I have tied onto that is either a 5 to 7/0 circle hook, and you want to find the strongest circle hook you can find because these fish will bend out anything that's remotely weak. And on there it's a knocker rig with a 1/4 to 1/2 ounce egg weight. So my by far favorite setup for these fish are my Truth SG reels, and I think the company is now called Seigler, and they still make reels, and they're still the same exact reels, just different names, and these things are beasts. These reels are super smooth, hold a lot of line, and they have a lot of drag, and that's key. You need a lot of drag when you're fishing for these fish, because anything less than at least 20 pounds of drag, and these fish are gonna wrap you up and break you off in the pilings immediately. So you need something with heavy drag and heavy line, and on here I have 40-pound braid on both of these reels. So as far as rods, on one of my setups I have a Shimano Terez 7-foot medium action rod, And I actually had that on both of the setups, but a black drum blew one of them up into like 3 pieces. So on my other one, I now have a St. Croix 6.6 medium heavy rod, and that thing works them up every time. I love the Terez because of how much it like bends and how much action it has. It's so much fun to use, but you really need something with a lot of backbone. So I'd recommend at least a medium action rod, probably medium heavy if you're going after these fish, because you need something to pull them away from the pilings. So that's gonna do it for today's episode of Just the Tips. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. That would mean a lot to me. If you have any questions or any tips you want to give yourself on this topic, please leave it as a comment down below. Let's all work together to try and become better fishermen, and I'll see you guys next time.